We have got quite a couple of points. So first of all, I think it's been a very busy week for us in docs. Uh, at least for me, I've completed a couple of PRs that were necessary around the whole um, making everything look consistent in light mode and all that stuff. We've added all those. We've gone through the DreamLab deployment, which is kind of cool. New hosting provider that brings the possibility to get your node hosted at them with a complete walk and talk through. And Parker made the video for it today, or at least we finished it today. So that was very cool.
Ooh,
We'll
let's go.
drop it in the description and stuff for people to see, but it should be in the website soon too.
Sorry, I missed that one. What was the host called again?
DreamLabNetwork Solutions. Could you pull up the pull request? I think it's in there. Yeah, or
Let's see.
I did the change in there. If you click the Netlify one, the last one, and then go to deployments, and then web deployments in the left,
Yep. Oh, nice. You already got it up.
and then it should be there. Yeah.
Dude, nice work.
So that is done and over with. Also shared with them, and they seem to be happy. So that's cool.
So they have a special offering for
Sweet.
BTCPay, or how did they get in there?
Yeah, so it's a bit like Luna Node does as well. So they offer, let's call it a package, where you rent the hosting space and all that stuff complete for your node, and you can decide if you want a prune node or not, and if you want Lightning in there or not. So it's a quite cool setup. It works pretty well. It's not too expensive, I would say. At least not in the basic plan. You can make it as expensive as you want, but basic plan seems alright. And the interface is pretty straightforward, pretty clean, nothing too much. So
Cool.
yeah.
So they integrated the whole setup process and stuff like that. That
Yeah.
makes it really easy then. And you can pay with Bitcoin then?
Yes, you can for
Wow.
sure pay with Bitcoin.
I guess that was one of the first criteria.
Yeah, and they also offer some other services like web hosting and domain names and SSL certs and all that kind of stuff. So there's more in there than just BTCPay Server, but yeah, BTCPay Server is a new service they launched, so we made them a little introduction guide on the documents, and also now made them the introduction video. So yeah,
Really nice.
filling that page up slowly. Now we have Luna, Voltage, and the boys from DreamLab Networks enter that space too. So that's cool.
Nice.
And then I had one thing open that we should have talked to with Pav, but Pav can't be here today. He didn't make it, so that's too bad. Yeah, and the only other thing that I had, which is specific for today, was the proposal on how to add subtitles and stuff to videos.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, so we dedicate a repo for the content that we push out, and that we have all our all the sentences that we use in all the videos. We write those out anyway, so we might as well use them as subtitles and try to get them translated to other languages. But we need to put that into a repository somewhere. Maybe Patch has an idea for that, but
To make a repository for translations doesn't sound too intense though.
no, we just gotta make a system for it, or at least a structure in how we put it down and what we like to see from everybody.
There were some suggestions in the MetaMost about using those translation services. I don't know.
Transifex.
I
spoke
didn't
about
seem to catch on. Yeah.
So the thing is that it needs the repos behind it, otherwise it doesn't work. And we kind of gotta set that up. And if we set that up, then we can use Transifex indeed to work together on the same text, which is kind of cool. Makes it a lot easier than trying to manage everybody on their own with their own separate languages and etc. etc. So yeah, that would be really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a little bit from my side. I made a little bit more on the list, but yeah, I can just put these underneath our video. Is there anything you guys would like to bring up? I saw that Patch brought up a good point in the
Yeah,
comments.
there was this pull request with backup and restore from, I think he's called Dennis.
Yeah.
So he made quite a bit of effort there, and the whole backup and restore process wasn't really working before, so it would be nice if we catch the ball here and do the documentation for it. I think that was mentioned on the PR as well as still missing. Maybe we can push that out about the same time when this gets merged.
So if we go into his PR, I see that there's a whole bunch of text. Did he actually aggregate something as well already, or no? It seems like no. It seems like there's a lot of comments and a lot of good text in here, but I think we gotta put it all together.
I think there's still some things missing, like the backup of the Lightning daemon and stuff like that. I don't know if that's still supposed to come, or I think he wrote in the last comment that it is a very complex topic and that there should be separate scripts for that. I think, well, if you want to back up the whole server, you should take care of Lightning as well, I guess.
Yeah, so I see that they indeed are talking or discussing about the Lightning portion of the backup still. And yeah, I think we can make a start on this. I mean, if you would like, Patch, you could already create a issue for this if you want. You don't have to. I can take it on as well if you want, or anybody else. But at least start making a little bit of a framework already of what we would like to get in there, and then tag Dennis in it as well to see if he can propose some sort of text or framework that he might already have written himself, as Dennis has been pushing a lot of text himself as well of the stuff that he's making. So might not want to do it twice. So see if we can tag him somewhere and see if we can bring it up. That might be a good one for sure.
Which is the case that often developers don't like to document their stuff, so maybe take a bit off his shoulders.
Yeah, it's true. That's where we are coming in a little bit as well, right? So we're just trying to catch up where it's needed, and I think you're right. This is a very good point that should be in the docs. It's although a very complex thing. If I'm reading through it just now, scrolling through, it seems that there's not really a set thing yet. So yeah, again, it I feel like it would be hard to write it out right now, just based off what I can see from
Maybe we
Dennis.
should talk with Dennis as well if it's supposed to be integrated in the graphical user interface at some point. I mean, it would be nice to be able to download the backup tar file from the web front end.
Yeah, if
Something
there's a
like this is planned.
button or something for it, yes, for
I
sure.
mean, if we don't have to document how to use the shell scripts and just have the button explained, that would make our life a lot easier for documenting this.
Yep, good point. Good point. I think it's yeah, good idea. Let's ping Dennis about this one. See how far he is. And if he already has written something or not. And then if there's indeed plans for a UI around this to make it look even smoother. I think that's a good idea. From last week's dev call, we were looking for people for doing the testing. How are we going to do the tests on new PRs? And Patch has been picking it up a lot.
Well, I was throwing around some ideas with Cooks and Huff, I think he was. First idea was basically just to write a vagrant file so that everyone who wants to test the deployment can spin up a virtual machine without much effort. But rightfully so, it was said that this is still too tech intensive and might narrow our testers circle down a bit too much. So the idea was basically that we spin up virtual machines for each pull request or something like that, so that they can test it online.
That sounds
But
good.
that it takes a bit of server resources to do that, and yeah, there was some discussion around how we handle that financially and
Did you
technically.
get did you manage to get hold of Brit and ask her how she did it before, or
To
still
be
haven't
honest,
got a chance?
I didn't see her green in the Mattermost. She's away now as well. I didn't write to her. I must be honest there.
Would you want me to send her a message to see if she can give you some more feedback on this and how she did it?
Sure.
All right, we'll
Oh,
make that happen.
you think she's still reachable? I mean, could be
Oh
very
yeah,
busy.
I'll get a
That's
hold
right.
of her. I'll offer her a
Okay.
bottle of wine or something, and then she will talk. No, we'll figure something out. Now she's still around, but I believe she's very busy with strike a lot of the time. But yeah, we can always shoot her a message and see if she can give us some feedback on this.
That's great.
This should be good. Um, let's see. I did
So do you
see.
want to have a short view at the Vagrant script maybe? To see what kind of magic is happening there and how easy it is to run it?
Yeah,
I don't know
can you show it?
if it's ever going to be used, but I mean, it took some time to write it.
Can you already show it or?
I'm gonna try. I'm using Wayland here on Linux, and I think that has some trouble with screen sharing.
Ah, okay.
So you either see everything in black now, or you see my
Yeah,
screen.
everything is in black.
Shoot.
Can you share the link for it in chat?
Yeah.
Then Parker can maybe, if he's still here, grab it out of chat.
Cool.
The idea was not to use Windows, but maybe next time I will use Windows again. In dark mode. Okay. So this line 15 here, it specifies which base image is used, and that doesn't work out of the box if you're on something that is not VirtualBox. But for most of the Windows users, this should be fine. I'm also specifying that I'm forwarding the port 9001, which is BTCPay servers, or the one I configured for the website, to the reverse proxy. That's exposed on 8080 local host. So after you run Vagrant up, basically all you have to do is open this thing up in the browser, and you can start messing around with BTCPay Server. So if you scroll down a bit more, you see how the setup process works. And scroll down. So I've assigned 4 gigs of RAM, 4 CPU cores, that's all standard. And then I'm basically doing the whole Docker setup stuff with some tweaks to it, like doing the fast sync, and actually I've patched in there in there that it clones from a Git repo that you can specify with an environment variable. If you don't specify one, it will just use the master branch. So that's nice for testing pull requests, I guess.
Yeah, because now every time you can just replace the tag.
Yeah, it is in the README of the repo how you do that.
Okay.
So this is the regular Docker deploy, the setup, and basically it takes like 30 minutes for downloading the blockchain via FastSync. But once you've done that, you basically can start with BTCPay Server on your local machine.
And you've written out comments and stuff above it. This is looking good, Patch.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't write too many comments. So with SED, I'm editing the Docker component in the line. No, it's gone.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. So those are the small adjustments that I made to the Docker Compose setup. So, for example, that it runs not just Docker Compose up, but Docker Compose up -- minus build, so that it also builds the source folders for BTCPay Server. And line 115, I update the Docker Compose YAML file to include the source folder as build context. Pretty straightforward, actually. But that's what allows me to basically exchange the version of BTCPay that's being used.
And this way,
It,
people can at least locally spin up a environment quickly.
that was the first idea, yeah, but as it was said, it's still very technical, and even though it's just one command on the command line to start it up, if you've got Vagrant and VirtualBox installed, it still is a black window and might be too magical for some.
But it's a good start. I mean, I think we should definitely not throw this away. I think it's
Mm.
something we. I think we should put it on the developers or contributors or something somewhere. Make use of it, and then work it out further and see indeed if we can get some hosting space somewhere, um, and then run this somewhere on a VPS. So somebody
Yeah, I
can
mean,
just chuck in a PR number or something and spawn up the rightful server for it.
yeah, that was the first idea. The second one was if we run it on a VPS, we need to save a bit on resources. So instead of spinning up virtual machines for every instance, which doesn't work on a VPS unless you have KVM nested mode, that's not available on very. That's only very few VPS providers actually have that. So you want to run virtual machine in virtual machine, basically,
Yeah, I don't know.
for this to work, and it's painfully slow and doesn't work on a lot of providers. So the other idea was to use Docker Swarm and to deploy this entire Docker Compose file as stacks side by side next to each other, each time with a different LND port and with a traffic or reverse proxy exposing this stacks under different host names. So that I got working. Let me see if it's still up and running. It could be that I stopped it. And side by side to each other. It's basically the Docker Compose file deployed two times with different host names. So
Okay.
the entire stack, the Bitcoin D, the LND, all of that is deployed several times next to each other, isolated completely from each other, but it's on the same VPS.
I
I would
mean,
show you my terminal, how I rolled it out, but since I'm only showing a black screen,
yeah, we can't see it. That's too bad. Maybe
it's
for next
it's
week or something. That might be
it's
cool.
yeah, it's not automated yet and not on Git, so it's just a manual deployment. But that would be the idea that I would want to go forward with,
Cool.
because it saves resources, and we could even optimize it more to use the same LND and Bitcoin D and just several instances of the BTCPay server with different versions. So that would help us save a lot of RAM.
All right. That sounds good. I think we should get this into next week's dev call. I think next week we do have one. Thanks. But yeah, you definitely already have a good framework set up, I feel like. So next week in the dev calls or something alike, that might be a good idea to bring this more forward. If there's anything we can help you on in the sense of how can we describe the first one that you did, so the one that Pav might find a little bit too text heavy,
Mm.
we might want to write something out around that because it does work, right? It is a workable solution to test out some PRs. And yeah, I feel like we might be able to make something out of this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a README in the repository. If you want to look at it, it's like 3 or 4 steps that you have to do. Install Vagrant, install VirtualBox, run the command Vagrant up, and if you want to, you can prepend the repository names to it,
All right.
and that will spin it up. And you need like 30 minutes of time, yeah, depending on your internet connection.
Yeah, that's fine. It sounds good. I think it's again definitely something we should look into a little bit further. And thank you so far already for doing it.
Maybe we have something more to put in the display pool. I mean, before we include it in the BTCPay namespace, it's just the Vagrant file at the moment. It could be a bit more testing related stuff, I guess. Test cases, scripts for populating the database from BTCPay Server with a couple of merchants and invoices, or maybe something like that over the API.
Yeah,
That
at
we
least
don't
have a
start
filled
off
up
blank.
database and
Mm.
make it look like a real store instead of every time
Yeah.
creating a new one and just some fake data.
Would make it a bit easier for testers, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And after that, we can just write up some basic steps of what we hope to see or like to see tested, and then yeah, hopefully get a better release every time. Looks good, man. Thank you again
Yeah,
for
we have a great testers community in the Mattermost. We should make use of it, I guess.
yeah.
It's like 60 people or so.
As you said, looking forward to reviving this channel. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's see. I'll try to get hold of Brit for you. See if I can get some feedback on how she used to be doing it. If she did it on some VPSs somewhere or had some server space. I'll see if I can find that. Um,
Hopefully, she didn't spin up a separate VPS for every instance because yeah, it's a lot of work and it's pricey.
it gets very expensive. Yes.
Yeah.
With that, Parker just left us already. He has to run. Is there anything else you want to bring up, Paige?
Um, yeah, I mean, this integrating this testing stuff in the pull requests was an idea that I brought up in the issue. I think I also linked to a solution how it could be done. So basically, with slash commands in the pull request, you can spin up a new instance, and the bot would send you the URL in the pull request where you can test it. So that was the final goal, how to automate it.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, if you could set
That
that
would be
off
the
from
super user friendly. Yeah.
where did you leave that? Did you leave that in the
The
issue for
issue
today?
of the BTCPay Server Docker.
Ah, okay, in Dennis, his. Oh, there we go. Thank you. All right.
The last link in that issue is pull request staging. Basically, it works through GitHub Actions.
I see. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm not gonna read through it right now. That might be not the best idea. Uh,
you know,
but it's definitely a good thing to look into, and I see that there's quite some information in that issue in the Docker. um, all right, I'll add that one to the list of today as well, just so we can grab back to it.
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of taking over the call with the testing topic. I'm
Yep.
sorry for that.
No, that's okay. That's cool. I don't mind. I told you up front that if you wanted
Mm,
to share some things about this, please do. Um, as we will be hitting that too, right? A lot of the documentation will come forth out of testing, etc., etc. So
exactly.
it's nice to put this part of testing as well into the contribution pages, get people up to speed of how they can deploy them themselves or where they can find or reach those deployments and where and how they test out PRs, etc. So
Mm.
that's good stuff. I like to have it in there. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe a regular testing call or something like that would also make sense. Or if we keep it combined with documentation, I don't know, depending on the interest that this peaks.
and depending on the releases, I think too. I think
Mm.
for major releases, it definitely is. I think a good idea to have a talk with or amongst the testers, and after that, sharing the feedback to the designers, developers, etc., etc. That's a very good
Yeah.
idea. And yeah, around those times, I think it might be worthy to do a just around testing call. We'll definitely facilitate that if you'd like to do that. All right.
So in the organization repository, just add a pull request to the calendar file, and that would get something set up. I hope.
Yes. So whenever you are in the organization repository, you can create an issue, and if you name it the right way and you use the right convention, you will be able to make a calendar, make it possible to schedule a call for the future. Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. I think we're gonna round it up, Marcus.
Yeah.
Thanks for attending, and we will see everybody next week again. So, thank you,
Same
Petch.
same time.
Probably same time, and yeah, just keep an eye on the agenda or calendar. I will post an update in the documents channel as well before we do the calls. So,
Okay, perfect.
all right, thank you, and have a good
Have a
weekend.
good one.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.
For too long, we've relied on trusted third parties to process digital payments. The world is changing, and so are your customers. As cash payments decrease, digital payments become the standard. But existing apps charge transaction fees and lack privacy. BTCPay is a Bitcoin payment platform. It gives control over your business back to you, helping people achieve financial freedom with donations, payments, and more. Help your family and onboard your friends. Use BTCPay to host multiple stores and become a payment platform of your own. While the world changes around you, stay in control of your finances. It's simple to use, censorship resistant, and completely free. This is more than a payment platform. It's transforming digital payments as fast as the world around us.